features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the vast African wilderness where we get to go on live safaris twice a day, every day. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live. And a very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to our sunset safari here in the afternoon in South Africa. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon Craig is on camera with me. He's also known as Batman. And before we go into the details of where we are and what we do, a very warm welcome to Windsor Oaks and Midway Elementary and College Park Elementary. I hope you kids are all super excited. These are the schools that are going to be joining us for the first part of our sunset safari and sending through their questions and getting acquainted with the wildlife that we have out here. And we're coming to you live from at the moment, a place called Cheetah Plains Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. So up in the top northeastern corner of a very beautiful, rather large country. And for all our regular viewers, please send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Right, without any further ado, it's a warm afternoon. It's warm and sunny. In fact, the hottest it's been in 10 days. Beautifully warm, which means the possibilities are boundless. We're going to go visit the water holes, check for animals around there. Visit a very special day.
Oh dear, it sounds like Jamie has lost signal. Hello everyone, my name is Byron, and on camera with me this afternoon is David. Now, it's lovely to have all you young kids watching from the 3 different schools. Windsor Oaks, and who else have we got this afternoon? We've got Midway and College Park, I think it was. So hello to all of you, lovely to have you with us. Don't forget, send us your questions. Ask your teacher to send the questions and we'll happily answer them for you. Oh, there's a beautiful bird I'd like to show you. Let's see if it goes down. Oh, what was it dive bombing over there? It's called a lilac-breasted roller. Now, I'm not sure what it's... There it goes. Let's see. Oh, there it sits, and I think we're going to have a lovely view of it from here. I'm going to get right underneath it. There we go. Dave, is that okay? There we go. It's called a lilac-breasted roller. Look at him. Very beautiful bird. And listen to that call, if he calls again. Very harsh little call. Oh, see those little starlings now just below it. Oh, they're all fighting and dive bombing each other. Now the reason for that, and the starlings are sitting there too. They're sitting just over there. Now I think they've possibly got a nest nearby. Some of these birds are territorial and they don't like other birds around them too much. And also these lilac-breasted rollers can cause quite a bit of havoc. So that starling, there we go, it's a Burchell's starling. Possibly just decided to try and chase the roller away. Lovely bird. Look at the beautiful bluish green color on the wings as the light hits it. Very pretty bird. Now, I am looking for a number of things today. I'm going to be looking for leopards, hopefully, and then also I'd love to see some elephants. Now it is very warm, so I'm checking all these little mud wallows and water holes, hoping that we might bump into some animals that have decided to come in this afternoon. So we will see what we can find. And I hope all of you are having a great day wherever you are in the world. And on this World Leopard Day. Jason, hello Jason, good afternoon. You want to know how many animals we find each day? Well, Jason, it's difficult to say because every day is different. Some days we see lots of animals. We'll see herds of Impala, we'll see different antelope species like Impala, Kudu, Wildebeest. Then we also see zebra, giraffe. Sometimes we'll find elephant and rhino and buffalo. But other days it can be a bit quiet where we don't see as much. So it all depends, Jason. It does all depend. There's never a guarantee out here. This is a big national park, so it's completely open. There are no fences. The animals can move around where they want. So there's no guarantee. We literally have to look very, very carefully, and we've got to listen out to the bush to give us clues on where to find these animals. Maybe look for little from the sand. They've possibly been walking. That will help us find them too. So we'll try use all the skills that we have to find these animals. Now, what I mean by some skills is this. Have a look at this. This is lovely. Do you see on the side of the tree? I'm just going to jump out quickly to show you properly. But look over here. That's very, very nice. You can see this mud all that's been scraped up against the tree over here, and you can see it's very, very tall, very high. The animal that scraped the mud against this tree. And here is another clue. Have a look at this. You see there's a little mark in the tree over here. It's been scraped away. Now this is from a big elephant. Now the elephant has come and they've possibly splashed some mud on themselves from one of those water holes we just passed, and what's happened is they've come scraped up against the tree and rubbed the mud off. And I think what's happened here is the elephant pushed its tusk into the side of the tree like this to scrape maybe just a little bit of the bark off. I think that's what's happened there. So that's a good sign, but that's not fresh mud. That's old mud. But it is a sign that we would use to look for animals. If we found fresh mud on the tree, then we know that those elephants are hopefully close by. Let's continue now. There's a lovely drainage line to my right. Now, drainage line's an area that's got a lot of big trees, and it's usually where all the water will flow to when it rains heavily. Now, it's an ideal place for animals like leopards, nice and cool and shady. Just having a good look. We don't want to miss anything, so we've got to look very carefully in the bush. As you can see, it's quite thick at the moment. A lot of rain, so hopefully we'll have some luck finding something. Okay, now, you know I'm not the only one out here. Let's go and see what my friend Jamie is doing right now.
I'm thinking about what Byron has just said about how dense the vegetation is and how long the grass is. And that's perfect if you're a leopard, because it provides you with lots of places to hide. Of course, it being International Leopard Day, we are going to be searching for leopards. And this is one place where I've had lots of luck with surprise leopards. It's a waterhole with 3 different water sources. There is one over there, but there's no leopard hiding there unless I'm much mistaken. And twice I've bumped into leopards here that I didn't even realize were hanging about. Hannah, you want to know if we usually see leopards. Hannah, do you mean in the last month or do you mean in the last 2 years? No, we do. We see lots of leopards. At the moment, we haven't seen that many. It's just the way of the world. The bush is very thick, as Byron said. It's easy for them to hide. But we probably see leopards at least 2-3 times a week. Probably more on good weeks, and we're going to see more and more as we start to go into our dry season. And so basically places like this, which at the moment is completely devoid of any life at all to show you, but at places like this, all of the animals have to come here to come and drink. And so for leopards and for lions and for all of the other predators, it's much easier for them to find prey because they can just come here and search around the water holes. And there's a young male leopard called Vutomi who likes to spend a lot of time around here, and that's because Vutomi's quite small, he's still quite young, and he likes to hunt terrapins. But it seems as though all the terrapins have learnt their lesson in this area because I can't find one. Usually you see terrapins swimming about. A terrapin is like a mixture between a turtle and a tortoise. It swims in water, but it can also walk on land. And there aren't any here. Perhaps they've decided this isn't the place to be if Vutomi's going to come and potentially catch them. So let's go and check some of the other water holes quickly. That's what I'm going to do this afternoon. Maya, you want to know why are there different water holes? Well, remember, some animals live in territories and some walk huge distances, and so they want to come to different water holes wherever they happen to be at the time. And it's to make sure that for some animals they have a water hole in their territory and they don't have to leave their territory to go to another water hole. And also at this time of year, water holes form in different places. Maya, if you're asking why there's 3 different ones there, I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not quite sure. That was just something. They are man-made. They've been put there by people, and I guess people decided that 3 were better than 1. I guess 3 times the chance of seeing something, maybe. I'm not sure. Here's a bird. It's the same bird Byron was trying to show you. Ooh, is it going to fly? Yes, it's going to fly. Don't fly, don't fly. Okay. Ooh, it's quite hidden there. There's 2 birds. There's one on the left, and then if we look a little bit to the right, Craig, we'll see the other one on the branch out in the open. There we go. A pretty lilac-breasted roller. I know that Byron showed you one already, but you can never get too much of these birds. Unfortunately, these 2 are sitting right into the sun. They're quite hidden, and you can't see the colors as well. I'm sorry, I didn't quite get your name there, but we have a question about why does the lilac-breasted roller have such a long tail? Elijah, you want to know why the lilac-breasted roller has such a long tail. A couple of reasons. A bird will have a long tail for 2 reasons. One is that it might make it more agile when it's catching insects, so it helps to balance it. Oh, there it goes. So that it can change direction quickly. Well done, Craig. We might even... No. I thought perhaps they were going to show you why they're called lilac-breasted rollers. And the other reason is that it is basically a reproductive strategy. So by looking beautiful and having a nice long tail, they can show off how fit and strong they are by carrying that long tail. And of course, if you're looking for a potential animal to mate with, if a lilac-breasted roller is looking for a female or a male, they're going to want to choose one that's really fit and strong. And that's why some birds have very, very, very long tails, because it just shows off how strong they are. But it's a balance, because if it's too long, it can't fly as well. Now the males, well, there it goes. Awesome. And then, when they finish breeding with the females, then they lose their tail because they grow such long tails that they can't even fly properly, and that makes them at risk of being caught by predators, which they don't want either. I'm hoping we're going to find some big animals to show you. Sometimes we find elephants, sometimes we find hippopotamus, sometimes we find buffalo. Those are all very, very big animal. A lion is a big animal. Remember, a big lion can weigh up to 200 kilograms. That's over 400 pounds. Even a big leopard is quite a big thing. A big leopard can weigh easily twice my weight. Oh, they can be very, very big. But on a day like today, when they're lying in the shade, they could be very difficult to see. Imagine if I'm a leopard, right? So just imagine this. And let's have a look into this long grass here. Now let's say, because it's quite warm, let's say a leopard wanted to go and lie in the shade over there at the back. Okay? So you think, oh, well, that should be easy. Should be very easy to spot. But now watch this. So if I'm a leopard, whoopsie, nearly lost my microphone there, that would have been tragic. If I'm a leopard, and I'm in this long grass, and I want to go lie in the shade, it would be very funny if I found a leopard now, just by the way. If I were lying in the shade here, this looks like a comfortable spot to lie down. So now I'm lying down. Now I don't even have spots, and you know that I've sat down here. So this is about how well you'd be able to see a leopard. I'm still here, but it's very difficult to spot. And now I have to get up again. Oh, use the grass to pull me up. So that's why it's tricky to spot leopards, and that's why we've got to hope, or a lion actually, even a sleeping lion would be difficult to see in this long, long grass. So what we've got to hope is that they're up in a tree or on a termite mound, or, like I said earlier, around the water. Now I've got lots of stuff in my socks. See, this is a very clever approach of grass. Don't blow away. While I plug myself back in so I can hear your questions. Look at that. That was in my sock. And that is a grass seed, or a plant seed, that has sharp little points. And it's really good at getting caught in your socks. But it's also really good at attaching to the fur of animals. Now, why would grass seeds want to attach to the fur of animals? Well, if you think about it, it's a really good way to go from one place to another. And grass, like a lot of plants, what grass really wants to do is spread all over the place. So there's different examples of the way that grass seeds can develop little hooks, sharp hooks or spikes that get into your socks, and you must have experienced this before. I don't know if you've ever encountered a plant called blackjack. The blackjacks get stuck in your socks, and so do grass seeds. And it works really well with animal fur because the grass gets attached to that, and then it gets spread, and then the seeds fall off, and the grass can grow somewhere different. And that's the way that grass and other plants spread around here. A lot of trees do something different. They produce fruit. And when an animal eats the fruit, it goes walking off and it takes some time to digest. And then by the end of its digestive process, it goes to deposit some dung somewhere, or some scat or some feces. And wherever it's deposited that, it's deposited some seeds. Now Ariana, you want to know, what about the clues? How do we know which clues are from the animals and which clues aren't? Well, the trick is to learn what different clues there are. So, Ariana, while we stop in the shade, let's think about what some clues could be. So if I were to go walking along this road and maybe hours later Craig came by and he was searching for clues, what do you think that he might look for? Well, one of the first things he's going to look for is my footprints. because I'm going to leave footprints on the sand as I walk along. Now, I'd love to show you some footprints, but I haven't found any yet, but I suppose that's the sort of thing that we're looking for. What else could we look for? Well, if I was a big elephant, I'd leave very big footprints, but I might also leave piles of dung in the road like this one. So that's another clue. But now you've got to be careful with clues, because look at this clue here. Let me jump out and show you. So look at this clue here. Oopsie, keep forgetting about that. This seems like a clue, doesn't it? It's a pile of dung. It's come from an elephant. But you've got to be careful now, because this is not a fresh clue. And here's where we have to look at other parts of the evidence as well. Look here. See how it is a little bit wet, but that's because it's been raining. But look here, see how there's sand all over this pile of dung. And along the edges, it's really, really dry. So what that means was that this animal didn't walk along this road recently, because the dung has had time to dry and the termites and the ants have had a time to start to feed off it. So we've got another clue. So it's all about knowing which clues are important and which clues are not. This is another clue. Now this is a difficult one. Footprints are easy. You can learn what an animal's footprint looks like. Dung is easy because you can see that it's an elephant's dung. But what about this clue over here? What about this clue? Can you see what I'm looking at? This just looks like a tree, doesn't it? But it's not just a tree, because look there, see how it's been broken? That's another type of clue, because this tells me that an elephant came, and let me make sure I don't make the same mistake with my microphone again. Let me tuck it in. An elephant's come through here, broken the branch, and fed off all the leaves of this branch, which is why this branch has died. So an elephant's come here, broken that, stripped away the leaves here with its trunk, like this, and then eaten them. But again, this branch is quite dry, which tells me that it wasn't recent. So that's another type of clue that you can look for. What other types of clue might we get? Sometimes a clue is really difficult to spot. Sometimes a clue looks like this. That's a clue. Doesn't look like much, does it? How do we know it's a clue? Well, if nothing had been here, all of that grass would be standing upright, just like the grass that I walked behind earlier. Now that has been squashed by something big. And probably that same elephant that put his dung on the road, that ate the tree, and has now walked all over this patch here and left behind some evidence. So you see, sometimes the clues are difficult to spot. Some of them are easy. A footprint is easy. A pile of dung or poo is easy. But sometimes it's a bit more difficult. I'm going to go and see if I can find some more clues to show you, and maybe even an animal at the end of the trail of evidence. Let's see whether or not Byron's found any clues on his afternoon drive.
Not yet, Jamie. I'm looking and I'm using my binoculars to have a look around for any clues or some birds or something interesting. And it is quite warm, and I think the animals are all hiding in the shade somewhere. So we haven't found anything just yet, but still too soon to panic. As I always say, we're going to, I'm sure we'll find something soonish. Let's have a look what clues we can find. Now, when you have a look, an area like this, just off to the left, you can see there's a nice shady little area and a termite mound. Now that is an old termite mound, so it means it's not active anymore. There are no termites in there. You You can see there's a lot of grass that's growing on it. It's a very big mound. You can see, look, it goes right up to the top. And you can see the soil there. Now, why I'm looking at this termite mound is because sometimes animals like leopards like to go and lie on top of termite mounds like that, because it's a lovely little area that they can stay out of the long grass, and also that one's perfect because it's in the shade. So it would be a lovely spot for a leopard to lie down and rest in the heat of the day. Now, well, Adrian, your question is, I suppose, related to with me saying how leopards might be on the termite mounds. You asked, where do they live? So they live out in this area, anywhere. Leopards, lions, all the predators, this is their home. What they do is they don't have a specific place that they go back to. They will just rest within their territory, within their home, the whole area. And they will go and rest in maybe a thick drainage line, so some of those thick areas that I showed you earlier with those big trees, nice soft sand. They may lie down there and sleep there. They could also possibly sleep in the trees or rest in the trees. They could just lie under the shade of some of these trees around here, for example. It could be anywhere, and that's also why it makes it quite difficult to try and find them. There's never a guarantee. We've got to look very, very carefully. But we're not just looking for the big cats, we're looking for any animals. Some of the antelope species, or elephant, or buffalo, who knows, maybe even a giraffe. Mackenzie, you asked, do we ever see snakes? We do indeed, yes. We do see, I wouldn't say a lot of snakes, because the snakes, believe it or not, are actually more afraid of us than we are of them. So if they hear the big vehicle coming, or even if we're just walking, they try to get out of your way very quickly. So you don't often see them, but they are around, and we do see them sometimes. And we've got many different types of snakes in this area. From one of the largest in Africa, it's known as the African rock python. Now, it's a very, very big python that can get to about 6 meters long, which is probably 2 of me. If I lie flat out with my arms stretched, probably 2 of me almost. And that's how big a big python can get. Very thick, powerful animal. Oh, look, and I've spotted some animals. There we go. Our luck is starting to change. Hold on. I'm going to try to get us into a nice position here. Have a look here. Oh, look. And look, there goes some kudu. Quickly, before they run away. Here they go. That's a big kudu, the one at the back. With those beautiful spiral horns. And there's some... There we go. You can just see his horns behind the bushes. They blend in so well, don't they? Now, that's a kudu, and then the smaller antelope that we can see around here. Sorry, Dave, we parked at a bit of an angle here. That's a female kudu, and then to the right, the small antelope, that's an impala. Can you see the young impala? There he goes. So 2 different types of antelope. That's another impala. You can see it's much, much smaller than that big kudu that we saw. Now, these are all different antelope that we get around here. And they're happy to move around in the same area because generally they feed on the same vegetation. Oh, that's lovely. Look how big that female kudu is compared to those male impala. And you see the little birds? There goes a big male impala. You see his big horns? There he goes. But that female kudu is still much bigger than him. And do you see that the female kudu, as she walked there, we can just see her again. Look at those birds all riding on her back. Isn't that funny? Those are known as oxpeckers. So the oxpecker, they are birds that sit on these animals and they pick off the little ticks and the fleas that sit on these animals. So they actually help them out quite a bit. And you can see how difficult it is to spot the animals once they disappear through the thick bush. Jasmine, it's also just like the question we had earlier of how many animals we see in one day. It's difficult to say how many birds we see in one day. We see a number of different birds. It can be anywhere from 20 up to 100, 150 different birds. So it all depends on the time of year, depends how hard we're looking for birds. So yeah, it's difficult to say, Jasmine. I'm not sure. There goes a bird. You see it just fly across the screen. So a lot of birds around at the moment. Beautiful different birds. I'm going to try and move forward a little bit more. Hold on. See if we can see that big male kudu again. I'm just scanning to see if there's anything else close to the water. They possibly went down to drink earlier. Hold on, where is he? There, I think I see him, everyone. Let me just try to get into a better position. Oh, it's quite thick here. There he is. There he is. That's a nice view. Can you see him there, Dave? There we go. Look at him. He's actually thrashing his horns around the trees, scratching. He's scratching himself. Do you see that? He's got those branches around his horns and he's just scratching his head a little bit there. It's quite interesting. But he's beautiful, isn't he? Lovely. Beautiful big male and those big spiral horns. So it makes it very easy to identify the kudu. It's the only antelope that's got those long spiral horns. If you think of a corkscrew, they look almost like that, don't they? And there the little impala again. Isn't that nice? Nice to see them. Some different antelope. Well, let's carry on and see what else we can find. Actually, just here's another example of a big termite mound. Do you see that right next to me? That's a beautiful big termite mound. Now, that one doesn't look like it's being used at the moment. It doesn't look very fresh. Sometimes you can see that the soil is probably a bit wet. This one looks like it's been baked and is quite hard. And also those broken holes. The termites don't really allow their termite mound to get broken down. They always build it and fix it again. And they use the soil that they basically dig up from underneath the ground. They'll dig the soil up and they use that to build the mound. And that's quite big. That's a lovely big one. Just to show you a bare termite mound compared to that other one that we saw earlier. Dave, there's a bird there. Do you think we can try and get it? Hold on, there's a bird flying, everyone. Is it flying away? Looks like an eagle, maybe. Wait, where is he? It is an African Harrier hawk. Wait, let's see where he goes. Hold on.
He's coming back.
Is he coming back? I think he's flying off. That was called an African Harrier hawk. He's just flown away. Oh, there he is again. It's just to the right of the tree, but he's flying further and further away from us, unfortunately. Just a quick little view. But you see, so it just shows you the different birds that we see around here. Not just the small ones, but some eagles too. Now that was a big hawk, a beautiful bird called an African Harrier hawk. Now we've found some antelope, but Jamie has found the tallest animal that we get out here.
Absolutely, far and away the tallest animal. The only thing that comes close to being as tall as a giraffe is an elephant. And we have found not just one giraffe, but actually an entire group of them, all poking their heads out and watching us very, very carefully. There we go. We got asked a question about whether or not we get big animals. Well, a giraffe is pretty much one of the biggest as well, and we don't always get to see them, so you're actually really very, very lucky. And what might happen, you might get even luckier, because there are actually 2 babies hiding behind that tree, and I'm hoping that they'll come out. But we'll wait a little bit. We'll stay and we'll keep an eye on the other giraffe while we wait. They're hiding from us now, but maybe if we sit nice and quietly and just wait for them to feel more comfortable, maybe they will come out from behind the trees. Now, how exciting is this? Oh, does anybody know what you call a group of giraffe? Do you know what you call a group of giraffe? Because you call a group of lions a pride, and you call a group of antelope a herd. But do you know what the actual collective noun is for a group of giraffe? It's a very different one. It's quite a unique one, and I think quite a beautiful collective noun. And that's what we've got here, a group of giraffe. I'm trying to double check and see which giraffe is on the left there. If it was a male or a female, I think it might actually be a young male. And it's quite difficult to tell when a giraffe are young, but one of the first things you do is look at the top on its ossicones, and whoops, no, I think I might be mistaken. I think it is in fact a female, because she looks as though she's got tufts of hair on the top of her head. Look at her beautiful eyelashes, and look as well at the birds that are sitting on her neck. Now, those birds are called oxpeckers, and we almost always see them sitting on giraffe. They're helping to keep her clean. Now, Jordan, you want to know, why do giraffe have such long necks? Well, originally scientists thought that giraffe had long necks so that they could reach high up to the tops of the trees, higher than all of the, or most of the other animals that eat leaves, and therefore that would give them an advantage, because they can stretch right up and get the fresh green leaves at the top. But now scientists are also thinking that it might have evolved as a weapon of sorts. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen what it looks like when 2 male giraffe fight, but the way that they fight is they swing their heads round and they hit each other on the sides or on the legs or on the neck. And because their neck is so long, it's like swinging a stone round on a piece of string. The longer the string is, the harder you can swing that stone. And the same applies to giraffe. So the longer their necks are, the harder they can hit with their heads. And that's one of the reasons why scientists think that giraffe might have evolved to have such long necks. And there's a couple of different potential reasons. It seems as though the babies don't want to come out from behind the tree, doesn't it? That's actually a very young giraffe there, believe it or not. That one's only probably, I would say, around about 10 or so months old. So that's quite a young giraffe. But they grow so very quickly. They get such long necks so quickly. Standing there chewing, watching us. Oh, that bird got a head shake because it was climbing into its ear. Shall we try and move around and see whether or not we can see the babies? I think we should. They're not new babies. They're a couple of months old, but I think you'd all like to see that. And there's something special about a little baby giraffe, because their necks are not nearly as long as the adults, so they look very disproportionate. Now, a giraffe is one of my mom's favorite animals. My mom loves giraffe. She thinks they're the best. She loves their beautiful eyes and their long eyelashes. Okay, slowly, so they don't get scared. Hello, giraffe. Here we go. Look, there you can see. They're the 2 babies. There's one. And there's number 2. Now, Haley, you wanted to know why they were hiding behind the tree. Honestly, Haley, I think it was just where I parked and where they ended up. So they are young, so they're going to make extra especially careful that we're not something dangerous, because they probably haven't had much time to get to know that a safari vehicle isn't dangerous. So because they're young, they might be a bit more scared than their parents, and so they might have decided to just stay out of view for a little while. But look, you can see now that we've moved, they are perfectly happy. They're still watching us, and that's what giraffe do very well. If there was a staring competition in the bush, giraffe would win. Giraffe are really very, very good at staring at you. And that's one of the ways that they intimidate predators, because it's basically like them saying, look, we've seen you. Don't even bother trying to catch us because we've seen you. Oh, did you see that? Look, she's winking at you. Saying hello. This is awesome. So have you got any answers yet about what you call a group of giraffe? I think I'm going to let you think about it for a little bit longer, and while you do, let's go across to James, but don't be too scared.
Hello everybody, I've just been on a journey, and that's a clue of course for what Jamie's just asked you, and I've come to my favourite little spot here called the tent, and outside the tent there are a lot of flowers, and in those flowers, look what we've got a spider. Now, while you're looking at that spider, I'll just quickly tell you that my name's James, and I know that I haven't seen you for this whole lesson, but I'm here now. And this spider is eating something very disgusting. It's called a stink bug. And it's called a stink bug because it stinks. It's got a special pouch between its first and second legs, and that special pouch makes a smell that is so disgusting that you wouldn't be able to cope. If you smelled it, you'd run away. But the spider doesn't mind because it doesn't smell like we do. And so what it's doing is it's eating the stink bug. Now, it caught the stink bug and then it wrapped it in silk. Well, first it bit it, and then it wrapped it up in silk, and then it went away, and it sat away from the table for some time, and then it came back like it's doing now. And what happened in that time is that the spider's saliva, you know what saliva is, the spider's saliva, which contains all the poisons, all the venom, it actually liquefied the insides of the stink bug. So the stink bug went, it's got organs just like you've got a heart and lungs and that sort of thing. Well, it doesn't have quite the same, but it has got some. But after the spider bit it, all of those organs turned to juice, and now the spider's come back and it's drinking the juiced insides of this disgusting stink bug. Isn't that beautiful? I think it's just amazing. And if you look around where I'm pointing, here is the web, and it's an unusual web because it's what we call horizontal. So it's not sitting upwards like you might think it would, it's sitting sideways. Isn't that amazing? So the stink bug, poor stink bug, I quite like stink bugs because they're interesting, but it would have been crawling around here on this flower, and then it would have fallen off, and it came down, and then it landed, and it thought, oh, thank goodness, I didn't fall on the floor, I landed on a comfortable net. And then it realized that it couldn't move. It realized that the net was sticky because the spider's web is sticky, and then suddenly the spider grabbed it and bit it and wrapped it in silk, and now it's not any longer. But, you know, everything out here has to eat, so although it's a sad story for the stink bug, it's a very happy story if you happen to be the spider, because the spider needs to eat in the same way that you and I need to eat, and that is just what happens out here. Sometimes you get eaten, sometimes you eat. And as a friend of mine once said, well, that's how life goes. Sometimes you win, and sometimes you lose. That's what happens. Good. Now, we don't have much time left, I don't think. So why don't you come inside here with me, and I'll quickly show you my tent. This is my tent, and the next time you come on safari with us, I'll tell you a little bit about all these skulls and bones and interesting bits and pieces that we have over here. I hope you have a wonderful day at school. Behave yourselves, but not too much. We're going to hand the rest of you over now to Byron.
Well, the schools have just left us, as James said goodbye to them, but the drive continues. Now, we unfortunately have had no luck finding anything just yet, or anything more. We found those beautiful Kudu and Impala earlier, but I am looking for leopard, with it being World Leopard Day, but nothing just yet. Nothing just yet. It's still early and it's still very warm, so I don't think these predators will be moving around too much now, to be honest. That's my theory. But I'm going to be checking trees carefully, and we'll see where else we can look. It's just interesting. Look how the elephant have dug this entire area. Look at this. I'm just going to jump out and show you, because it's quite deep. So look at that. And there's some actually quite fresh elephant tracks. It's still very wet here. They've dug up this entire area, but look how deep it is. I'm not going to stand there. I might just get stuck. But it's incredibly deep. It's at least over a meter deep, that they've dug up, and they've been splashing, and this is actually quite recent. It's still very moist. It's been a hot day today. You can see the water over there. So this was possibly from earlier today. An elephant, maybe one or two. Looks like they're 2 different or 3 different track sizes. They've come and splashed themselves with mud and then moved off again. But this is quite fresh. I wonder where they have gone. I'll try see if we can find them. Now the elephant, we know, can cover huge distances quite quickly. Especially when they're looking for food, they'll constantly move through an area. They won't hang around for too long. I'll search for elephant. Let's head to Jamie and her journey of giraffe.
Here's our journey of giraffe indeed, and aren't they beautiful in this open area? All staring off to the distance. I wonder what has attracted their attention over there. What do you see, girl? Last time I ignored a giraffe looking at something, it turned out to be Tingana, who popped out about 10 minutes after I'd been in that area. So, you know, it does make me concerned when I see giraffes staring off into the distance. But they all seem to be staring in different directions and not necessarily in one thing. So it's probably just an antelope that's attracted her attention and nothing else predatory. I was hoping if I gave them a little bit of space and I moved towards Buffalo Pan itself, I was hoping that they might decide to come and have a drink. But that doesn't seem to be the case. They seem to have stopped for an afternoon snack instead. Such a lovely difference in size between the adults and the little ones. Nice to see giraffe. We actually haven't had that many opportunities to see them recently. I was secretly hoping, or not so secretly hoping, that on this World Leopard Day, perhaps Vutomi might be here. But a journey of giraffe is spotted, so that will do for now. And we'll just have to continue our search as we go along. Now don't forget, just quickly, that you can send through your hashtag you can send through your questions or your hashtag, I suppose, but questions would be better on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Look at you, little one, having to put up with oxpeckers from a young age. Alice, because the paranoia has set in, can I still hear you? Oh, marvellous. Oh, Graham, you want to know if all animals will be attracted to a salt lick or if it is just certain types of antelope. I've actually personally never seen a predator. What is she staring at? I wonder if we shouldn't go back and double check. I've never seen a predator go and lick a salt lick, although I have seen them eat sand before. I have seen them practice geophagy, which basically does do a similar thing. It's a way of getting minerals. But I have seen all other general game species, zebra, giraffe, nyala, all the antelope, buffalo. I've seen them all go and lick a salt lick. I want to go and see what's attracted their attention. Could be an antelope, could be a predator, could even be a bird. But while I do that, Byron has got the latter with him.
I do indeed, Jamie, and a beautiful bird which we don't often get to see. We hear it calling constantly, but sometimes it's hard to see it. Now, just listen to the call before I tell you what it is. Beautiful melodious call, and it is James's favorite bird, the white-browed scrub robin. You can see that very prominent white supercilium. That is the white brow above the eyebrow, or above the eye rather. It's called a supercilium. Let's see if James is impressed with me for remembering that word. And it's a lovely view. I don't think I've had a... I don't think I've ever seen one so relaxed and out in the open. Apparently the girls said they heard a noise from the tent. Sounds like James was impressed. the grumbles from the tent. But beautiful colors. You see there's that rufous brown on the back, some streaking down the front. But this is typical behavior of a white-browed scrub, and I mean the calling. They're constantly calling. You hear these melodious calls throughout the bush regularly, and they've got different pitches and tones. But it is generally, if you hear a bird chirping away like this, chances are it is a white-browed scrub robin. Light on it too. Oh, that's very, very nice. That's so lovely. It's nice when you just see a bird that's happy to sit and perch for you. That would be a lovely photograph too of that white-browed scrub robin. Beautiful light on it now. Non-stop. Has not stopped calling. R. Laura Moore, you say it looks just like a, did you say a Disney bird? Oh, okay. R. Laura Moore, I'm not, which Disney bird exactly? Or just a Disney bird? Like, what does that, was it Cinderella? Oh, Cinderella, Snow White. Didn't Snow White have the little birds following her around when she walked? I mean, those are all my favorite movies. Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. Lisa, very possibly. You asked if the nest is in the bush there somewhere. Yes, if it does have a nest, I'm not sure if it does, but if it does have a nest, they do nest up in little bushes or thickets like this. So very possibly. I can't see any sign of a nest at the moment, Lisa, so I'm not sure. But So nice to see this little bird. We're going to move on from here though and see what else we can find. But let's head over to the man who loves this bird the most.
You love that boast, the bird the most, not boast, the most bird. Hello everybody.
Oh dear. Oh dear. I'm sorry, James doesn't seem like he'd like to speak to anyone. The wall. James has switched something off in the tent on purpose. So you stuck with me, everyone. I do apologize for that. We will take it up with the powers that be at a later stage. I must be honest, I've had such a lovely day. It's been a great day. It started off really well. James found the lion this morning, and
Your comms, don't come to me unless you get a thumbs up from me. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. It seems as though the gremlins have taken hold. You got a beautiful view of the sun and a view of me saying, don't come to me because I can't hear you unless you get a thumbs up. Well, you might have heard that as I was chatting to Alice, because the gremlins are attacking all around. I can't hear Alice trying to talk to me, and I think Byron's struggling for signal. Gowrie Tower is down. I was trying to get to Chitwa Dam, but it might be a little bit tricky. We've still got some filming that we need to do there. And we got to do it the right sort of light, you see, which makes things complicated. Is that a snake or a piece of bark? Hold on. That's definitely a piece of bark. That was wishful thinking on my part, I think. Because so far, I haven't seen an animal on Cheetah Plains except for some Impala. Oh, well, the good news is that James has found or managed to repair the problem in the tent. Let's go back to him.
I'm sorry about that, everybody. I'm still in my ditch, and we have managed to find a very pretty little grasshopper in some very pretty light. Now, Byron is, of course, correct. The white-browed scrub robin is my favourite bird. The grasshopper has now absconded, naturally. It jumped. I suppose that's what they do. But what I did find particularly amusing, there it is, about Byron's last segment, of course, is his confession that Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, etc. are his favourite films. I think that's very funny. I had a hard chuckle in my ditch.
Okay.
You see him there? The voice you can hear in the background very softly is Sebastian. He is on camera today in the tent with me. We were supposed to be walking with Rex on. Unfortunately, that has not been possible on account of the fact that the Gowrie repeater is down. Now, that is a beautiful grasshopper. And really, I have found in the last little while that watching insects at this time of the year has been superb, because it's just a little bit colder than it has been, and that means that they're just not moving at quite the speed that they were, and they're not running away in the same way that they were. Anyway, he's going to sit there, and maybe he'll find himself some grass to eat. Maybe he'll just while away a very pleasant afternoon there, watching the sun go down to his right-hand side. Anyway, I don't know any more about that grasshopper. Of course, there are so many species of them that it's difficult to say what he was. Right, I'm going to go back into the tent. Sebastian is going to go the other way around into the tent, because, of course, the tent has a number of shall we say, tripwires that have been located around the place in order to confuse us and make us fall over the place. Right, we're back in the tent, and I want to introduce you to my new friend. Now, I introduced you to Connor the other day. This is Connor. Oh. Unfortunately, Connor now has no head or arm. How very distressing. Right, well, Connor will have to be rebuilt. In the meantime, I thought I'd introduce you to Byron. Here is Byron. And Byron is a superb individual, as you can see there. And the point of having Byron in the tent like this is so that we can compare the human physiology and anatomy with that of the animals that we see out here. So I think he's quite fun. And I did tell you this last time when I first introduced you to Connor, who's now in pieces, and of course to, I'm not sure we gave the tiger a name, did we? Did we give the tiger a name? I'm not sure we gave the tiger a name. Oh, I think we better name the tiger now. In fact, given the complete absence of any large game in the field, why don't you tell us the name for the tiger? Hashtag Safari Live, you can give us the name of the tiger. Anyway, the point of having them here is not because they look nice, because they don't look very nice at all. They're actually just quite interesting from a comparative point of view. And so if you have any questions about the comparative anatomy of a cat, this works very well for lion or leopard, a human being's bone structure, or a human being's muscular structure. We could perhaps compare that with Byron in the field. In fact, we should get Byron to strike that pose. He's about that size. Well, sort of from there up, I suppose. Good. Okay. Well, that's Byron, and we'll have a look at him a little bit later. Otherwise, I'm still looking for things to show you under the microscope and identify. And I think what we're going to do this afternoon, for the remainder of the afternoon, is focus on the spiders and see if we can't get slightly closer to identifying them more neatly. Now, we did show you this spider the other day. He was living in there, and she's now disappeared. And that, of course, is slightly distressing. I'm not sure where she's gone. And the other thing we showed you in the tent yesterday or 2 days ago was how nature is taking over. And here is another example of that. Can you see that one there, Seb?
Yeah.
That is a kokolochi, or a cockroach. The cockroaches, of course, will be the last to go, along with the rats, when eventually our politicians decide that they're going to kill us. Anyway, they will survive, and I just really love this because it shows how nature refuses to be excluded from life, which is just fantastic. So eventually this tent will just disappear, become a home. Now, I believe we have some names, some wonderful names for our tiger. Yes? We have some names for our tiger. No, we don't have any names. There's the tiger. Oh, well, that's sad. We were going to get some names for the tiger. Apparently some of you have sent some through, but I'm not sure what's going on in the final control. Obviously there's a small issue. Good. I think we should go back outside. That's also got an issue. Things really are in a state this afternoon. Absolute state. I'm getting some communication from the final control, but not much.
Not much.
Yes, I've got comms now. Yes? When did you lose us?
Are we live?
Oh, we're still live. Oh, goodness. Well, that's lucky. I thought you'd lost us. I thought, for a second there, I nearly said a bad word because I couldn't believe the gremlins could get any worse. Anyway, we've had a suggestion. I think it's an excellent suggestion. We're going to go with it straight away. Taylor, the tiger. Byron, the muscular chap. And, of course, Connor, the skeleton. I think that's fantastic. Good. Perfect. That'll do us for now. All right. What we have here is a lovely piece of grass. I know that grass isn't the favourite of all of you, and in fact some were making mention of the lack of cats recently, and I know we had a real cat bonanza leading up to the sort of wet season, but it is to be expected that this time of the year will be slightly quieter on the cat front. This is an Aristida species, probably Aristida junciformis, or I forget exactly which three-horn it is, but it's one of the three-horn species. Very little will eat it, which is why it will be one of the last remaining things that we have out here before everything sort of gets squashed down during the dry season. And this one has got a tiny little insect living on it. You see it there, Seb?
Yeah.
So have a look at it there, and then what we will do is take it into the tent and have a look at it under the microscope, because it is alive, and we like to look at living things under the microscope. All right, Seb, shall we go inside and have a look? Let's go and have a look. Alice, do you want to look at this under the microscope first, or go to Jamie? All right, let's head back across to Jamie. She's got something which might disappear.
Asked for a link. Hey, look at this. We've got a collection of pigs at the Cheetah Plains pan. Oh, what I was saying earlier about Cheetah Plains being relatively devoid of life, and I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear what James said when he sent you across here, but we do have an abundance of life, or at least we've got two different species wandering about the open area of Cheetah Plains. I think this is the family of piglets. Well, we'll get back to that in a sec. Sorry, I'm just... Sorry, Craig, that was entirely my bad. There is a wildebeest there as well. No, that was entirely my fault. I didn't finish one thought before going on to the next one. I think this is the same family of piglets that we've been seeing over the past few months as they've grown up. And they were so very tiny. I just have this very vivid memory of Byron talking about them, and the fact that he could no longer see them, and he was turning, looking, talking to camera, and the piglets were all dashing past behind him, and he had absolutely no idea. And I'd seen them a couple of days or a couple of weeks earlier, when the grass was so long that they were basically invisible. And it's astounding, the speed with which they grow. Still young enough that their tusks haven't actually, or aren't fully showing yet. They're probably growing underneath the surface of their jaws, or their skin under their jaws. But they've got those little tufts of fur sticking out on the side to imitate tusks on either side of their faces. There's mum number 1 and mum number 2. And quite often when you see warthogs with litters of piglets, they actually are in pairs. And a lot of the time that's a mother and a daughter, a mother and her grown-up daughter, and they stick together. And just that advantage of numbers helps tremendously. Being in a sounder is much safer than doing things all on your own. And a sound is another fantastic collective noun, along with journey of giraffe. I think they're quite enjoying the fresh stuff that will probably be growing along the edge of this waterhole, just because the soil's still a little bit damp, which means it's a good place to go foraging if you're a warthog. Very atmospheric. Don't forget to send through your questions or your comments on #SafariLive on Twitter. This is definitely the warmest day that we've had in a while, and you can see these warthogs have been enjoying themselves, wallowing about in the mud and in the water. Marks of where they've been damp, where they are damp. Cute. Well, managing to raise 5 piglets to this size, definitely on a leopard's menu. Stephen, you want to know how sharp their tusks are. Stephen, we have a look at the biggest female, who is over there. The top tusks are not sharp at all, and the top tusks are actually not the ones that you really need to be concerned about. Have a look underneath those tusks at the tushes below, those bottom set of tusks, and you'll get an idea as to just how sharp they are. And in a big sow like this one, you can see they are formidable. The way that they slide up and down as she moves her jaw, the way that they slide up against the top set of tusks, keeps them very, very sharp indeed. And it actually makes warthog a formidable creature to hunt. An adult warthog can easily weigh 50 kilograms, often even more than that in the cases of the big males, and they will fight fiercely, not just for their own lives, but sows will fight to protect their piglets if they can. And those tushes, those very, very sharp tushes, will cause or can cause significant injury. It's one of the reasons why warthogs, I suppose it goes without saying, but one of the reasons why warthogs back hind quarters first into their tunnels that they sleep in at night. They sleep in termite mound tunnels or burrows, and they go in there with their heads facing outwards. One of the big reasons why you've got to be so careful on foot. If you're going to go wandering around outside of a termite mound with a big hole in it, you've got to just be aware that there is a warthog, or there could be a warthog there, and the ability of the warthog to exit its tunnel at high speed, the velocity is truly astounding. It is roughly equivalent to a bullet leaving the barrel of a gun, or at least that's the way it seems if you're ever on the receiving end. They shoot out of there so fast, and they've been responsible for more than my fair share of near heart attacks while I've been on foot. And a warthog exploding out of a tunnel, accompanying it is a loud noise of a squeal and a cloud of dust, and you're quite convinced by that point that you are going to be flattened or eaten by something. And you've got to be careful, because that actually can cause really serious injury. You want to know if warthogs will disperse from their groups, and if so, at what age? Yes, they definitely do disperse from their groups. Sometimes, as I said, you get an adult female that will actually stay with her mother. We'll get the two species getting closer and closer. You get an adult female that will stick around with mum and actually go on to breed with her. But around about a year old, the piglets will start to leave mum. I think you'll probably find that the males will be the first to go, and they're going to have that natural independent spirit. And she's got, let's see, that's one little male on the left, and looks like another one on the right there. I can't tell what the one at the back is. I think it might also be a little male. That's definitely a boy on the left. Thank you for that. Convenient timing. The way that I can tell whether they're males or females, apart from the one that's given us a perfect view, and a relatively obvious one at that, is to look at the warts on their faces. And even at this young age, you can actually see that this one has got two sets. One at the top and one at the bottom. One near the eyes, one near the snout. And in females, they will only have two of those. And it's clear, even in young warthogs. Looks like a little female. Yep, little female on the right. So what's that? 2 males, 1 female that we definitely know, and 2 that we're not quite sure about. What are you? You a boy or a girl? Snuffling looks like a little boy. Oh, heavy on the boys in this group. Poor mum. I'm really sorry, I have absolutely no idea what name Alice was trying to give me to the question, but I did get the question coming through. Nope, still not, sorry. Oh, Eclair. Eclair, you want to know... Eclair, you want to know what the average size is for a warthog litter. How many... Thanks, Alice. You want to know how many litters or how many piglets they will have per litter? The answer to that is around about 3 on average. It can be anything from 1 to, I think it's up to 4. Might be more. Now I'm not certain what the maximum number of piglets a warthog can have is. I think the maximum is 4, but I could be mistaken. It could be more than that. But for some reason, I think 4 is the thing that comes into my head. So you're looking at an average of about 3. But usually whenever we see 2 females together, there'll usually be about 6 piglets between them. Now I'm trying desperately to remember, can they have more? Just double check with James as well. I can't remember if warthogs can have more than 4 piglets. Oh, that poor wildebeest was being bothered by flies. I could see his irritation there, out of the corner of my eye. He was kicking and flicking his tail. Wildebeest, I feel, have some of the prettiest tails of any animals. I don't know why, but they look far less ridiculous the longer you stare at them. I mean, a giraffe's tail looks quite silly, and so does an elephant's if you stare at it for too long. But a wildebeest's tail looks long and lush, and shame he's being bothered by biting flies. I don't want any of them to come and attach themselves to our skins, so we're going to continue on before they realize that we're here. Let's, while we do that, send you back over to Byron.
Hello again, everyone, and we haven't had too much luck just yet, but what we've decided is we're quickly going to check the hyena den. Not too sure, it might be a bit too early to see any activity, but we never know. Let's just try and have a look and see if there is anything there. Maybe we get lucky, and we're not far, we're just around the corner. It feels almost like a lazy day. Hey, David, I don't know, very relaxing. Because it's so beautiful today, beautiful weather. We are going to just check this hyena den quickly. Let's see. Stay with us, because you never know. Let's just check. We're right here, so let's have a look. Which way? Let me go this way around for a change. Come on, little ones, are you here? Or an adult or 2? We haven't been very lucky here the last few days. Now, I'm not sure if they've moved the den site or if it's because those youngsters are at an age where they're starting to move around a bit more. No, I don't see any activity just yet. Let's look around the other side quickly. No sign at the moment of any of them, but maybe we'll try again later. You see that? Yeah, no activity. Not sure where they are, but perhaps the adults return a little bit later. Maybe we'll see something around here. But I wonder if excuse me, sorry, there's something in my throat. James, there's something under the microscope. That's good to hear. I thought maybe he'd fallen asleep in the tent.
I have not fallen asleep in the tent. I've got something under the microscope, and you're going to see it now. There it is. It is that little bug that we found on the 3-horn, and if you watch it carefully, what it seems to be doing now is cleaning its proboscis, and we've been sitting watching it for, I don't know, the last 10 minutes or so. There we go. Look how it seems to be sawing. And you see that? It seems to be cutting with its very sharp little proboscis into the stalk of the grass. It's holding it with its front left foot and then sawing away with the proboscis. And what it's getting from this practice, I cannot tell you. That's the proboscis bending there. It's a little bit like a wood saw. I don't know if you've ever used a wood saw. And you kind of get it stuck as you're chopping. And it bends like that. How cool is this? This is the most fantastic sighting. And you can see the little detail on the claws of his front feet. You can see his antenna, obviously, and you can see that proboscis working frantically. Now, what he could be deriving, I suppose there must be some sort of moisture inside the seeds. Maybe he's not actually cutting what's on the side there. Maybe he's drilling down into the seed bed, or into the middle of one of the seeds here. I just think this is astounding. And then we can focus onto his eyes if you want. There are the eyes. Sebastian is sitting here absolutely mesmerized by this. I mean, it is amazing. Oh, so while you look at him, now, he's obviously eating. We found something that we think is quite close to what he looks to, what he's called. And it has, even if it isn't what he's called, the name is so pricelessly wonderful that I'm going to say it regardless of whether this is him or not. I just need to find him while you watch him sawing away. The identifying markers are the very sort of thick front legs. You can see those there. And then he's supposed to have a slightly longer set of antennae than he's got. But there are a number of different species in the area, so maybe some of them have just got shorter antennae. Naturally, I can't find him. Oh, there he is. He is called Pachygrontha quadripunctata. That's a Pachygrontha quadripunctata, which I think is a wonderful name. I'd quite like to be known as Pachygrontha quadripunctata. It would be a good name to have, a bit like being called Skillington McFarquhar, which of course would be a fantastic name. And Laura, you reckon maybe this thing's just got an itchy proboscis? I don't think so. Let's just focus in on the proboscis again. You can see it bending there. He's going to break it if he's not careful. I would love to be able to have something small enough that I could move aside, you know, the stuff that he's trying to get past, so we could see what he's drilling into, but I just don't know what that is. And those claws on the front parts of his leg there are the femora. They're called the femora, and those claws will be used to defend himself. But clearly he's not going to use them for hunting, because obviously he is some kind of sapsucker. In fact, let's just have a quick look here. Oval bugs, classic bug stink. Oh, they can make a classic bug stink. That's very distressing. I hope he doesn't stink us out here. They chiefly feed on seeds. A few species feed on other insects. This one obviously is a seed eater. 400 known species from this family, so I'm pretty sure he must be one of those 400. Pachygrontha quadripunctata, also known as Jeremy Skillington McFarquhar. Right, I think we should leave him to his machinations and see what else we can find. I think we'll put him outside. And look how tiny he is. He's so very small. Isn't that cool? SRQ, you want to know if I can tell if it's male or female. Unfortunately, the microscope does not extend to seeing whether it has facial hair growth or not, which that would be the way to tell. The males have got sort of light bearding, and the females do not. I'm talking absolute rubbish. I'm afraid I have absolutely no idea how to tell if they were male or female. I think in the bugs, they are pretty much the same. I don't know that they are, what do we call it again, sexually dimorphic. I think they're probably sexually monomorphic, so it'd be quite difficult to tell whether it was male or female. Beautiful, marvellous creature. Right, we'll put him down there gently, and then the next time we go outside, I'll put him outside. And then, Ali, you want to know if he's similar to a grasshopper, and he's not similar to a grasshopper. The grasshoppers are a different order entirely. They come from the order Orthoptera, and he comes from the order Hemiptera. Now, I don't know how much you know about taxonomy, but basically, you have the animal kingdom, and then you have a phylum, which is a sort of smaller grouping, and then you go eventually down to class, and he's an arthropod, and then you go eventually down to order. So you'll go order, and then family, and then genus, and then species, and that will tell you exactly what he is. But the order, which is quite a sort of broad grouping, is the Hemiptera for him. So he's a bug. So when I'm using the term bug, I don't mean it in the sort of slang way that we all use it to sort of designate any kind of creepy crawly. A bug is a specific order of insects, as are the grasshoppers, the Orthoptera, or the beetles, the Coleoptera, or the moths and butterflies, which are the Lepidoptera. And so those are orders, all of which will have a number of different families underneath them, all of which will have lots of genera under those, and all of which will have lots of species. And so if I haven't explained that properly to you, the next time you come back to us, I'll draw it for you. I just can't do that at the moment because we can't move the camera because, well, a gremlin has got into the wire. Yes, so we will be replacing the wire shortly. Yes, good. And then we're just going to quickly bring this out here. And I've been asked this a few times, and I'm not sure that I have it. Oh, I do know what insect is my favourite, actually. But there's an ant here. This is old Polyrhacus. And see if she'll get onto the grass stalk. I don't know how she ended up in here. Anyway, Seb spotted her, and then when I told him that she was edible, he looked quite excited, but I stopped him from eating him. Anyway, my favourite insect is the cicada. The cicada beetle is my favourite because its sound reminds me of hot, lazy summer days, and those are just the best kind of days, really, I think. Right, there we are. Let's try and put Polyrhacus outside, and then we are going to change the cable on our camera so that we can move about a bit. Good. Okay, well, I guess you could just stay with us then. Let's go outside and put him outside. This is where he was. Look, his home has been invaded by an orthopterid. So remember, you asked me if he was some kind of grasshopper. Well, I'm just not sure if the cable's going to stand this, but it might. There is a beautiful grasshopper, and you can see from the structure.
Mordor. Oh dear. Oh no, James, are you switching off buttons again in the tent? I'm glad you have found some ants. Oh, an impala. An impala. That's great because we've seen absolutely nothing else. So it's good to see an impala. Dave, did you think I'd found a leopard? Well, you've got to be excited about the impala too. Hey? Come on. So, well, everyone, we're losing our minds a little bit out here. It's been a bit quiet. But we have days like this, you know that. So it's not the end of the world. Things will happen for us, especially, I think, as it starts cooling down. As I say, it's too soon to panic. We'll try our luck and see what happens. What else? Trying to see if there are any. So James was talking about a cicada being his favorite insect because it reminds him of a summer's day. Okay, James. I feel like something has bitten me. My finger. I'm trying to think of my favorite insect. What's my favorite insect? Sure, I'm stumped. I wonder. I love butterflies. I must be honest, I do really enjoy butterflies. All the different colors, the different roles that each one plays within nature. They all prefer specific types of plants, and I just find them fascinating. So I do think my favorite would be a butterfly. What else? I'm trying to think. Do you have a favorite insect, Dave? Praying mantis. Ah, yeah, pretty cool. Nice. It's my attempt at a praying mantis. You think I got it, Dave? I think so. Not quite. Not quite. But yeah, there's so many interesting insects. So many. Termites. Termites are pretty cool. I like termites. Just because they're also so fascinating. Now, I'm driving slowly and I'm searching high and low for any activity. I'm hoping to spot a leopard in a tree or on top of a termite mound or anywhere for that matter.